Hello, magical people. Welcome back to the Meg Moonbeam YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. Uh, I'm back after the holiday season. I think I did one or two videos during the holidays, but I'm so happy that we're back in the groove. Happy to be here with all my live crew, with all my viewers here. So I love you guys so much. I have to preface this by saying that I'm coming out of a cold slash flu slash I've just been sick. So I'm so sorry, you guys, that my voice is going to sound a little funky dunky. And I may look a little bit like pale and red. And I just had like a headache before coming on live. So I'm going to try to do my best. I am going to do my best. Let me change my words. I am going to do my best. I've had a, hi, Jill. Nice to see you. Hope you guys are you guys still in Italy? Let me know, thinking of you guys. Hi, Tracy. Oh, we got quite a few people here. Love you guys. Hello. Yeah, so sorry, you guys, if I look messed up, if I sound messed up, I'm just coming out of a little bit of a flu, but I've had a really rejuvenating holiday season. So I'm very grateful to have had some time off. Hello, Sandy. Nice to see you here. Feeling good, feeling rested, a little bit of a weird day. Okay, so let me know in the live chat how you guys are feeling, but definitely today is like a day of, I'm feeling ups and downs as a Canadian. So thanks for joining me in this impromptu video where I'm going to be getting into the astrology of Justin Trudeau / Canada. And this is a topic that I feel like this is not just going to be a one-off video. This is going to be something that is going to be a continuation, something that I'm going to continue to check in on as 2025 goes on, maybe even going into 2026, but definitely 2025. And I've got prepared. I've looked at the charts and been feeling some things intuitively that I'm going to share with you guys. And I'm open to, please. Oh, did you guys see something just like flew over there? Did you guys see that? Maybe it was a piece of dust. Maybe it was an orb. I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you guys are feeling just in general with the whole Canada, Justin Trudeau situation. It is very, very interesting to say the least. So before we get into it, I just want to remind you guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my Meg Moonbeam YouTube and Rumble channels if you'd like to keep updated with all the magical content that I've got coming out. And also, I'm really, really excited to be hosting this live Pluto in Aquarius long-form workshop. This is going to be on the Beyond Mystic Academy. Excuse me. So sorry, you guys, if I cough. This is going to be on Sunday, January 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to do a deep dive with all y'all on what Pluto in Aquarius means for us as a collective, for health, for wealth, for work, for just general energies, for positives, for challenges, and also do Pluto and Aquarius readings for each of the 12 signs. So if you've never joined me in one of my live workshops before, I'm so excited for this one. I've been waiting for this Pluto and Aquarius transit. This is what us astrologers have been waiting for. So Team Freedom, Team Humanity is winning. There are some challenges that will come along with this transit, but a lot more, I think, positivity and progression into a beautiful future. And I'm going to go into each of the 12 signs, what it means for everybody. So you can check that out at the link in the description below. And if you're not able to join in on the live, the replay is available for those that cannot join in live. I also offer personal astrology readings, and the link for that is available in the description. Is it just my eyes, or do I look blurry to you guys? Hopefully I don't look blurry. So how's everybody feeling? Dizzy W says, feeling tired, not getting excited about Jay Castro resigning since he's not doing it immediately. The next few months are going to be even worse. This is going to be interesting times. And, you know, I'm a Canadian, so obviously I'm interested in the subject of Canada, and I'm really feeling guided to be there as astrological, intuitive, light worker support because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think Canada is in for a ride the next few months. We are in for a ride. There are definitely positive times ahead on the horizon. And you guys know me, I will not say things that I don't actually feel. So I'm not going to come out in this video and say, actually, you guys, starting next week, everything's going to be great for Canada and it's going to be so positive and there's nothing to worry about. No. Okay. And I'm going to bring up a bunch of charts. I prepared quite a bit for today's show. There are some challenges ahead over the next few months for Canada, but there's also really great positives that are coming in for 2025. So today I'm going to break down the astrology of, we're actually, you know what? I was going to start with Justin Trudeau. Should I start with Justin Trudeau? Yeah, I'll start with Justin Trudeau and then we'll go into Astrology of Canada. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. Yvonne says, anxious today and full of good energy, a weird day in general. Yeah, I'm hearing different things from different people. You know, some people are feeling really positive and happy about this development. So for those of you who may not have heard yet, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced today his resignation. But right before I just went live, I listened to the whole speech that Justin Trudeau did. Okay, which I tried to do that a few hours ago and I couldn't even finish it because he's, an actor. And hi, Rick, nice to see you here. He's an actor. He's an ex-drama school teacher. It's very hard to listen to him, right? So I stopped listening to it. And then right before I went live today, I was like, Meg, you got to listen to this if you're going to do a video about it. And interesting, the exact words that Justin just used today, he did not say, I am resigning. What he did say, Laura, you exactly are getting to my point. Word for word, what he said is, I intend to resign after a new leader is picked. Okay. Okay, let me just say right off the bat, I do not think that Justin Trudeau is going to continue being the prime minister. I'm going to break down the charts for you guys. I think there's going to be very big developments in Canada where he is going to have to leave. He is going to resign or whatever's going to happen. I do not see Justin being the prime minister 3 months from now. Okay, I will say that. I think he will be out. I think that we are going to see, well, we are seeing how do you even pronounce this word? Prorogation, you guys? The government is prorogued. I've never heard that word before this past week. So for those of you who may not know, that if you're not Canadian and you're listening to this live, Canada is a constitutional monarchy, okay, under the British monarchy. And we have this parliament where we have something called a governor general. Okay, so really when it comes down to it, we're not a free and independent country and everything has to go through this chick called the governor general. Okay, so Justin Trudeau asked permission from the governor general if he could prorogue the government, and she said yes. So what that means from my understanding, and I'm just hearing this from the first time, is that there cannot be any bills passed, there cannot be any major things done in government until March 24th, 2025, which happens to be our next eclipse season. Interesting. We'll get into that. So Canadian Parliament is prorogued while the Liberal Party, they're saying they want to find a new leader, do a leadership race. I do see that happening. I do find it really creepy. I found Justin's whole speech of today very creepy, because if you listen to it from just a very common sense, grounded place, it didn't really make any sense. He of course is acting and lying the whole time, but he starts getting teary-eyed. He's talking about his family and being at dinner with his kids, talking about it, and it was very jumbled up, and it didn't really make sense, at least to me. Let me know if any of you guys thought that it really made sense. But it was creepy, his choice of words. Laura, I caught that exact same thing you said, that he said he intends to resign. So we have not heard yet Justin say, I am resigning and I am no longer the prime minister. Today we are hearing him say, I intend to resign after a new leader is picked, and I am proroguing the government, and I am still the prime minister. So, okay, before we break down the charts and all that, I'll just say personally, because you guys know I like to keep it real, okay? And I am sick and I am coming over like this flu, so I'm a little bit not totally 100%, but I feel weird today. I feel weird. And I was talking to my friend Sandy, who's here in the live chat, before I went live about that. I always thought that when, Justin Trudeau would no longer be prime minister, I would be celebrating and we'd have this big party. And I do think that that's coming, but we are not there yet. And it's strange to be hearing him say he's intending to resign and that there will be an election soon, but we're not actually quite there yet after everything we've been through as Canadians. It makes me emotional to think about. I don't want to get too emotional in this video, but after everything we have been through, yeah, Terry, that's such a good phrase. We are literally in limbo. Terry, I'm going to grab that phrase, because that is literally, after I've looked at the charts of Canada for the next 2.5 months, that is literally what it is. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, and it gives me no pleasure to say this, but the next 2.5 months for Canada is a limbo. It's going to get a lot more positive as we go throughout 2025 for Canada and the US, with Jupiter ingressing into Cancer. Canada and US are both Cancers. Jupiter, of course, is the great benefic. It's very positive to have Jupiter in your sign. That's going to be very positive for both countries. But man, are we in for a ride the next 2 to 3 months. We are in a limbo situation. And I'll just show you guys really quick. We'll deep dive into Trudeau, and then we'll deep dive into Canada. But why am I saying we're about to be in this limbo situation? Okay. Because as we head into further and further into 2025, we're starting 2025 with, we are just, how many days away is January 11th? 5 days away. I'm filming this video January 6th, 2025. On January 11th, the North Node ingresses into Pisces, right? So we've been having this North Node in Aries the whole past 1.5 years. Starting January 11th, North Node in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces. We're under the influence of eclipses in Pisces. Pisces, 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 Pisces. And Neptune is the strongest outer planet right now in his home sign of Pisces. I'm going to ask my astrology family out there, my astrology sisters and brothers out there. This right here is the transit chart for Canada for today. So we've got the birth chart of Canada in the middle here, where my mouse is moving, and where the planets currently are today. Now, my astrology family out there, when you look at this chart, what do you find interesting about particularly this area of the chart where my mouse is moving? What do you find interesting about that? And if no one has the answer, that's okay. There's no wrong answers. I've got an answer in my head I'm going to say, but I'm open to hearing from you guys, my astrology students and friends out there. What do you notice about the 12th house of Canada right now? I'll give you guys a minute to answer that. Marilyn says, do you really think there is a possibility that Canada will be the 51st state? To be honest with, is there a possibility? Yes. Yes. Do I think it's a big possibility at the moment? No. Do I think that after the next 2 to 3 months, it could become a serious possibility? Yes. Hopefully that just made sense, Marilyn, how I said that. So what do you guys notice about the 12th house? Erica says Moon conjunct Neptune. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Today we have transit Moon conjunct Neptune. Definitely, for sure. Diane, you got it. Pisces, you haven't said the word stellium, but yeah, a lot of you guys in the chat are getting what I'm getting at. Pisces, planets in Pisces, transit planets in Pisces, heart of Josiah, yes. It's a whole lot of hell of Pisces going on. And look at this, you guys. If you think this is a lot of Pisces for Canada, when we get to March, Justin Trudeau said March 24th, we're going to be prorogued till March 24th. So I brought up the transits for March 24th. Holy Toledo. What have we got there? Saturn, North Node, Neptune, Venus, Sun, Mercury, 6 transit planets in Canada's 12th house. Now, okay, I said I was going to start off with Justin Trudeau. Let me just finish this point, then we'll get to Justin Trudeau, then we'll deep dive on the Canada charts. The 12th house. Let's just touch really brief on the 12th house. Okay. Tim says confusion. Peggy says dissolving. The 12th house in astrology is very, very interesting because it's the Pisces ruled areas of life. Okay. It is, on one hand, spirituality, creativity, dreams, bliss, enlightenment, our intuitive abilities, magic, oneness. The 12th house is a lot of beautiful things, and it's all that is not of this world. It's also far away sacred sites, far away dreamy places. But then, yeah, Tracy says lots of hidden stuff coming up. Yup, you're right on. And Light Warrior Luke, hi Luke, endings. But it's also endings, karma, mental breakdowns, confusion, dissolving, lies, hidden enemy. You know, I'm a Scorpio, so maybe this is just me saying this as a Scorpio. Okay. People get really freaked out about the 8th house, which is the house of Scorpio. For me, I am a Scorpio, so my whole freaking life is the 8th house in Scorpio. For me personally, as an astrologer, I'm more freaked out by the 12th house. I am more freaked out by the 12th house because with Scorpio and the 8th house, you know what you're going to get. Okay. You know what you're going to get. You know that maybe somebody's going to die, or you're going to go through a transformation, or you're going to get an inheritance, or you're going to meet a new sexual partner. You're going to merge with someone. It's going to be intense. You're going to do shadow work. It's hard. The 8th house is hard. But the 12th house, you don't know what you're going to get. It's weird. It's confusing. It's isolation. It's endings. And it's healing. It's a time of real deal healing that is usually not easy. So whenever I'm doing a personal reading, for example, And particularly if I'm doing a solar return reading for someone as an astrologer and they want to pick, the best solar return for their next birthday ahead. If I ever see someone has something like this going on in the 12th house, or a lot going on in the 12th house, that freaks me out more than the 8th house. And I'll say to the person, well, what do you want to be doing this year? Do you want to be chilling behind the scenes, or, oh no, I want to be traveling. I want to be working. I want to be working. I want to be, feeling good. Okay, well, don't have a 12th house stellium in your solar return. So the astrology is not punishing us, my fellow Canadians. The astrology is bringing the nail on the coffin. Like Tracy said, hidden things coming up to the surface, uncomfortable hidden things about our past. Canada has the South Node in Pisces in the 12th house of Pisces, Chiron in Pisces in the 12th house. The truth about Canada and who we really are. This is not going to be an easy next 2.5 months. Canadians are going to be confused. And I'm not trying to put this on any of you guys. And if you're a Canadian and you're going to be feeling great, good for you guys. I don't want anybody to feel like shit. Oops. I don't want anybody to feel confused. I don't want Canada to be going through a hard time. I am a Canadian. But looking at the charts, I have to be honest with you guys. We are going through this 12th house limbo. Like I forget who said that. And I'm sorry, you guys, I forget who said the limbo comment earlier. We're in limbo. And the limbo is happening to have the continuation of the wake up of Canada, because not everybody's on the same page yet. Some people think Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, the Liberal Party are actually the good option, that the NDP are actually the good option. That, politics aside, this whole new world order, globalist, transhumanism, woke is actually the good option. Canada has been very brainwashed. It's been one of the most brainwashed countries. And I'm saying that as a Canadian. Lorna says, if we weren't uncomfortable, we would never know. This is going to be uncomfortable. And I want you guys to be prepared for that. Lightworker Luke says, that's scary. Yeah, it is kind of scary because there's some weird stuff coming to the surface. And Pisces also rules victimhood, right? Being a victim. And I find it interesting that Justin Trudeau, and it's not really him, it's the Liberal, it's the World Economic Forum, it's the globalist behind him. It's not really him. It's hard because we can be pissed off at him, but it's not really him doing this, right? I think Canada is gonna feel like a victim in limbo the next couple months. And okay, that can seem like a punishment. That can seem like, okay, what the fuck? This is really challenging. What's going on with possibly the tariffs from Trump? That's one aspect of it. I do think that actually can seriously happen over the next 2 months. Because of course, America wants Canada to be the 51st state, which a lot of people got pissed off at me. Okay, I went on my husband Jens's, sorry, I'll go on a side note for a second, you guys. I went on my husband Jens's YouTube channel last week, and he wanted him and I to talk about possibly Canada becoming the 51st state or a North American Union. And holy crap, a lot of people got really triggered by me as a freedom-loving Canadian saying, I am open to Canada becoming the 51st state after everything we've been through the past 5 years and the fact that we're not truly an independent free country. we're a constitutional monarchy. And or I am open to some kind of union between Canada and the States. People got so triggered by that. Some people in the comments called me a traitor, a disgrace to our veterans, like crazy stuff. And there was a bunch of Canadians that thought they were smarter than me in the comments going, "We are a free country. What are you talking about?" Like, okay, the truth is, let's just snap out of this Pisces brainwashing, Canada and my fellow Canadians. We are not a free country. I know I say that all the time on my Instagram, on my Telegrams, my YouTube. Some of you guys are probably sick of me saying that. I will shout it at the rooftops. I will not stop saying it until we are a free country. We are not. South Node in Pisces in the 12th house. We are not. And so with all these planets transiting over our 12th house for the next, really it's 3 months, it's highlighting that. And all of Canada going, "Oh shit, these tariffs are happening, possibly happening. Oh shit. Wait, Justin resigned, but he's still the prime minister, but we've got serious problems going on. Where's our government? What's going on? Wait, there's a governor general in charge? Wait, above that, it's the King of England?" A lot of Canadians are going to wake up over the next 3 months, even more so than now. There's already a lot of Canadians awake, and I'm very proud of a lot of my fellow Canadians. A lot of us have really woken up, but more about to come on board. And 12th house of Pisces is mental health issues. So Canadians can be feeling like confused. There can be a lot of Canadians having mental health issues, issues with the health system, right? 12th house is the house system. So I'm seeing a lot going on. I'm seeing a lot crumbling and ending, right? The 12th house is endings. And then when we get into more of the summer, late spring in the summer, Venus, Sun, Mercury out of Aries, right? Or the later decans of Aries into the first house, into the second house, Jupiter going into Cancer. Things are going to there's going to be a huge positive shift for Canada. It's going to be really weird. It's going to be really trippy in 2025. Very positive shift for Canada. More when we get into late spring, the summer, but these first few months, I'm just being honest with you guys. This is, and I hope I'm articulating this well. The 12th house is no joke. So yeah, it's going to be confusing. Things are not going to make sense. We're not going to have the clarity. Thank you, universe. That's what I've been trying to get at here. Canada will not have the clarity as to what the heck is actually happening next until we have the astrological new year, which is Aries season, but more so when we get out of the second decan of Aries season, when we get into the last decan. So Venus, Sun, Mercury, all those guys have moved into the first house. Yeah, Peggy. Hi, Peggy says 12th house is also karma, unfinished business from the past. Yes, this is dragging up unfinished business, right? And this is not normal astrology, you guys. Saturn, North Node, Neptune conjunct at that March eclipse season in Pisces. This is major karma undoing and healing for all of us as a collective, but for Canada, because it's got that, big 12th house Pisces stellium. Lena says Prince Philip did say that Canada is a good investment. Exactly. It was never free. It was never free. And I am streaming on my YouTube and my Rumble. So if I wanted to go fully uncensored, I'd have to just go on Rumble, which I think I will have to be doing more of that in 2025. There's a lot I could say right now that I know I can't say on YouTube about Canada, but when you really look into the history of it, it is shocking. When you really know who our prime ministers have been, when you really know what the monarchy system has been, what they are, what they do, and Canada has been compliant to that. So even though the next 2 months, 2, 3 months will be a challenge and will be a mind fuck and will be confusing and we will not have the clarity. I'm very sorry to say that. We can either go through it like, oh, I hate this, and blah, 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 or we can go, okay, we have to go through this limbo. Canada has to go through this limbo so that we wake up to how ridiculous it is. There's going to be weird lies that come up to the surface. There's going to be weird stuff from the past that comes up to the surface, but it has to come up so that we can move forward into our new identity. Aries rising, the new identity of Canada. And there will be a new identity of Canada. I'll get to that in a moment. Got my soul sister, Sunny from Pluto in the chat. Hi, Sunny. She says, hi, poo-poo pants. Thanks for this content. Can't stay, but we'll check the replay. Love you and love you all. Love you. Lorna says, don't watch the news. Keep vibrations high. It will move along faster. Oh, Lorna, I'm so happy that you just said that because I would have forgotten this point. Pisces is propaganda and lies and brainwashing. So Canada and Canadians, do not believe everything that is being pushed. There is going to be some kind of major propaganda try to be pushed to try to get the Liberals to win the next election, which I don't see that happening astrologically. They're obviously not going to, I mean, it's just common sense, but it's also in the astrology. They're not going to win the next election. But there's going to be major attempted mind control, brainwashing to try to keep people turned on to this globalist agenda, to the World Economic Forum agenda, which a lot of the Liberal Party of Canada are in that WEF. Okay. And, the higher vibration of Pisces is spirituality, sacred sites, creativity, your higher self. So Canadians, what is the astrological remedy of these next few months? Social media isn't going to save you. The news isn't going to save you. Nothing is going to make sense that you see. Spirituality will make sense. Meditation, spending time in nature, sound healing, prayer, dream work, going into, like, we're in that winter time, right? A lot of this next few months, we're in the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Be in the hibernation, be in the bear mode. I've been really feeling the bear with this winter season. And do a lot of self-care. Astrological remedy, self-care, spiritual practices, really be in your spirituality, which is, for all of us, once the North Node goes into Pisces on January 11th, going to be really, really important. Oh, so cool. Jan Emily was gifted a membership by Rumble Rick. Thank you, Rumble Rick. That's very kind. Yeah, okay. I went on a whole tangent on the Canada chart. I said I was going to do Justin Trudeau first. Okay, we'll get back to Canada. Let's look first at well, it's not first. Let's look next at Justin Trudeau's astrology. Actually, rewind. Let me go back. Sorry, you guys. I'm like still getting over this cold. If I'm all over the place, please bear with me here. Let's rewind and first really just briefly go over what's our astrology of right now? Why is this happening right now? Why are we seeing so much crazy geopolitical developments in the collective right now? Right? Well, we're still in this Mars Pluto opposition. And we had exact Mars Pluto opposition on January 2nd at 1 degree Aquarius, Pluto, 1 degree of Leo, Mars. Pluto and Mars both deal with leaders, both deal with power, both deal with governments, both deal with politicians. So a bunch of you guys today were messaging me, like Heart of Josiah earlier said, you said it, Meg, I'm digging this astrology stuff, can't wait for Musk. A lot of you guys saying, yeah, Meg, you called it. Yeah, not that hard. Mars-Pluto opposition in Aquarius and Leo, power struggles of politicians and the fall of politicians in positions of power. And also, we'll get into Justin Trudeau's chart in a moment. It's all over his chart that he's not in a strong position. This guy is not going to be prime minister. I don't want my fellow Canadians to be worried. Even though he said, I intend to resign, which is really creepy and sounds like he isn't, he's not sticking around. He's not sticking around. So it's this Mars-Pluto opposition, right? Amanda says that is happening right now, the fall of politicians. Exactly. Yes, astrology is a science. Totally is a science. I find it interesting, too, that this happens the day Mars moved retrograde into Cancer. So we've been having that Mars retrograde in Leo. And today, the day that Justin Trudeau resigns, it's when Mars moves into Cancer retrograde. Cancer in astrology rules Canada. Canada is a Cancer. Cancer also rules homelands and countries. So this is going to be continued. We're going to see it all over the world. Major geopolitical developments, falls of politicians that no longer serve the people. Pluto in Aquarius is freedom to the people. Okay, let's take a look at Justin's chart. Now, on my YouTube channel, I have a whole separate video, I think from 3 years ago now, the astrology of Justin Trudeau, where I do a deep dive on the astrology of Justin Trudeau. So you can go check out that one specifically on his birth chart. What I want to share with you guys in today's video is his current transit astrology. Okay, he's got very interesting things that are going on over here. So very interesting that on the day he says he intends to resign, right? Moon exactly conjunct his moon in Aries in the 8th house. And interesting that he came out on that little podium in front of his prime minister's house and he was like fake crying. He had crocodile tears, right? He was trying to seem really emotional and vulnerable and get us to feel bad for him. That can be the dark side of the moon, right? Emotional manipulation. So it's funny that when the moon was conjunct his moon in the 8th house, emotional moon, manipulation, 8th house, right? It's crazy how it's all in the charts, you guys. Really interesting that our recent full moon lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces, that was on September, what was the day? September 18th, 2024, I think. We had a lunar eclipse in Pisces, 25 degrees. That was conjunct his natal Mars. Okay. So when we've got an eclipse, a full moon lunar eclipse within a strong orb of a natal placement, it's activating that, it's highlighting that placement for the whole next 6-month period. Mars, 29 degrees Pisces in the 8th house, and Justin was born with Mars Pluto opposition. That's what we've got going on right now in the collective. He's got a lot of negative things in his chart that shows he comes from, and I'm going to be careful what I say here on YouTube, but he comes from a dark, I'll use the word dark family. Okay. But with that recent eclipse conjunct his Mars in the 8th house, that's highlighting major endings and transformation, loss of power if you've been a bad boy. Okay. When you've got things activating Pluto, Saturn, the 8th house, the 10th house of Pluto and Saturn, if you've been a bad boy, you're getting the boot. Okay. You are getting the boot. You are not sticking around. And not only that, he's got the transit South Node conjunct his natal Pluto in his 2nd house. Interesting. To lose money, right? South Node is about loss. Pluto's can be endings, rebirth, can also be loss in the 2nd house. So there's definitely financial issues for Justin right now. I know that's kind of off topic, but whatever he's got going on financially is not in a good position, and also can be the loss, South Node loss of power, Pluto in politics, Libra, right? So Mars in his 8th house is also conjunct transit Neptune right now in Pisces, only 2 degrees off from being exact. Neptune rules dissolving, also loss of power, Mars, of energy, of action, of masculine energy, of leadership in a dramatic way, 8th house. And so that's all over his chart. He's not in a very strong position. Okay. I've been saying this for a while that I feel like because Neptune is very strong in its home sign of Pisces and can rule faraway destinations, and I've been seeing this intuitively as well, not just astrologically, I really feel like when he is no longer prime minister, which I think will definitely be by June. By June, Justin is no longer prime minister. Okay. Hopefully it's way before June, but just saying. Sign says, come on, Jens, give this lady a cup of tea. Jens has been giving me lots of cups of teas. Yeah, Neptune, faraway destinations, also rules hiding. I think he's going to go into either hiding or move to a faraway location or spend an extended period of time somewhere very far away. And, maybe he goes to Switzerland, right? Where his favorite daddy, Klaus Schwab, lives. Tim says, you calling it, Meg? Place your bets. I'm placing my bets. Okay, this is what I'm placing my bets. Justin Trudeau, at the latest, is out by June. By May, I'm having a brain fart at the top of my head, how long it takes. Because if Parliament comes back into session March 24th, the prorogue is over, and then there's going to be a non-confidence vote. And then I'm having a brain fart how long it takes until there is an election. Is it 3 weeks? Can someone let me know in the live chat? I think it's 3 weeks. So that brings us into April election or May election. I do see that happening. And I do see Justin will not be the Liberal Party leader. He will resign or be forced to resign. and there will be a new face. There will be a new face. And I haven't had a chance yet to look at, well, I looked at Christia Freeland's chart a few weeks ago. I looked at all those people's charts a few weeks ago. I'm going to have to do a separate video on that. But, oh, Jan Emily says, I thought it was 51 days. Interesting. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to double check that. But anyways, thanks, Jan Emily. I feel intuitively really strong as well, like, and this is just my psychic spidey senses. I don't feel like anybody wants this role, to be honest with you guys. Of course, there's a lot of people that want to be the Liberal Party leader. They want to be prime minister. What I'm feeling intuitively is I think the Liberal Party right now behind the scenes is having a very hard time finding someone that actually feels confident and wants to do this. That's just what I'm picking up on. So something really exaggerated could be maybe nobody wants to be the leader and Justin has to go forward as the leader in the next election, but I think that's really unlikely. There's got to be someone, but just what I'm feeling intuitively is they don't have a strong option, and I don't feel like people are excited about it on the Liberal side. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do a whole separate video on Pierre. A bunch of you guys are asking about that right now. Sorry, excuse me. So, yeah, Justin's transits. I mean, yeah, yes, he's got Pluto in trine to his Pluto, and okay, that can be empowering, but the South Node is on his Pluto. And transit Neptune, strongest outer planet at the end of Pisces on his Mars. The eclipse was on his Mars this past eclipse season. There's more definitely adverse things going on for him than supportive things going on for him. And I think he's going to hide. I think he's going to go into hiding, and I think he's going to go away somewhere foreign for a while, and maybe even meet a foreign lover. Okay. Someone in the chat said, is he going to come out of the closet? I made that prediction a long time ago. I said that like 2 years ago, that I think it's very likely. Yeah, Linda says, Macron, you never know. I think it's very likely with transit Pluto in March, transit Pluto will be exactly conjunct Justin's Venus in the 5th house of romance, of lovers. Venus, the planet of love. Pluto, the planet of sex. Aquarius, the sign of homosexuality and different kinds of sexual preferences. I've been saying this for a long time. He is going to come out as gay. And I think that that's going to be a tactic that they're going to use to try to gain positive rebranding for him. I'm kind of getting visions right now. Do you guys remember when yeah, Linda says, just can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. It's absolutely crazy. Do you guys remember when, well, it wasn't that long ago, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, right? And Johnny Depp won the trial, and Amber Heard, she's gone. She's like living in Spain. Right, let me show you guys that. That's what I'm seeing intuitively for Justin. It's like he's going to do an Amber Heard. If you look at her right now, And let me bring this up. Oh, shoot. Bear with me 1 second, you guys. Right? She's gone. She's out of the States. They had that horrible trial. She was exposed. And she's in Spain. She's living in Spain with probably Elon Musk's daughter. She used to date Elon Musk. That's a whole other topic, but it's speculated that her daughter, who she never said who the father is Elon Musk, but that's a whole other story. Intuitively, I see this for Justin. I see him going somewhere else. And I see him with a new lover somewhere else. And interesting that when you look at his chart, and maybe he'll announce that in March. Maybe he won't be the prime minister. And then the next day, hi, everybody, just want to let you guys know that actually I'm gay and I'm in love with Macron, or I met this guy in Bulgaria and he's my soulmate. You know, it's going to be weird. Pluto on his Venus, something very weird. He's going to be in the spotlight for a new weird love relationship. And I'm not saying that gay people are weird. I'm just using that terminology like, you know, what we consider weird or different, right? So the story's not over for him. Oh, I was going to say he has a Sagittarius stellium. So to have a foreign lover, to live in a foreign country, right? Look at his 4th house. Guys, look at his 4th house. Sagittarius intercepted in the 4th house. To live in a foreign country. He hasn't done that yet, from what we know. With Jupiter in Sag, at a Sagittarius degree. So I think all these, some of you guys are saying, you know, is he going to get his justice? All these people are going to get their justice. Pluto in Aquarius, we're in this transit the next 20 years. Check out my Pluto in Aquarius workshop I'm going to be doing on Sunday, where I'm going to deep dive on this transit for the collective and all 12 signs. The link is in the description box of this video. Pluto in Aquarius, justice is going to be served. There will be Nuremberg Trials 2.0. There will be. I'll just put it that way. Okay, got to be careful here on the YouTube, but I'll just put it that way. Don't worry, you guys. That's coming. Here comes Ocean and his meowing. Did you miss meowing for everybody on the internet during Christmas? We'll give Ocean his little moment. We're talking about Justin Trudeau in Canada and about how it's so crazy with the... Okay, you don't care. Okay, so I think that's what I wanted to share on Justin. Let me check, am I missing anything else here? Yeah, the eclipse in March, those eclipses, the Virgo lunar eclipse in his 1st house on March 14th, and has an influence for the whole next 6 months. The ending of his identity and how he's being seen by the world as we know it, as it is now. And then the eclipse March 29th, Aries 9 degrees in his 8th house, right? Death, rebirth cycle, intensity, to possibly go to jail, to possibly go to court. He's definitely going to court. That's for sure. I think he'll be involved in some sort of trial in the next year period. And I heard someone, I think it was, I forget if it was my friend I was talking to earlier today, said it's easier for people to become or to get charged in like class action lawsuits if they're not the prime minister. So we'll see about that. Yeah, it's looking pretty intense for Justin, isn't it, Ocean? Isn't it? Okay, so before we get into the chart of Canada, Canada's current transits, let's pull some cards on Justin. Let's see what's going on with that. Okay. And I'm going old school. I'm pulling out my Lenormand cards. I haven't used my Lenormand cards in quite a while. Let's see what we get. What do we want to ask about Justin? Okay, I'm going to ask the next 3 months. So that's February, March, April. The next 3-month period for Justin, what does that look like? Oh, this is falling out. You cannot make this stuff up. You guys heard me say Switzerland. You guys heard me say Switzerland. Okay, so I asked, what's the next 3 months looking like for Justin? We've got the Seath. We've got the Mountain. And we've got the Tree. Interesting. Okay. So the Seath and the Mountain together, these are two of the more challenging cards in the Lenormand. The Seath is about cutting away toxicity, things that no longer serves, ending. It can be very sharp, very abrupt endings. Okay, so what's happening for Justin in the next 3-month period? An ending, a letting go, a cutting off from what has been. Mountain can be delays. Mountain is challenges that we have to surmount and can literally mean mountainous places. And I keep feeling like he's going to Switzerland. Maybe there's a trip to Switzerland. Some of you guys were saying there's the World Economic Forum conference coming up. It could be that, or maybe he's going to move to Switzerland with Klaus Schwab or spend a prolonged amount of time in Switzerland. That I keep seeing that very strongly. But in general, the mountains in Lenormand for Justin is like roadblocks, delays. I feel like they have something up their sleeves. The Liberals have something up their sleeves. And they think it's going to work, but it's not going to work. It's absolutely not going to work because we're no longer in Pluto and Capricorn. We're in Pluto and Aquarius. And Team Freedom and Team Humanity is winning. Totally. Okay. So their plans are not going to work. And the tree is health. That's interesting. There could possibly be a health issue coming up for him, or his health is very highlighted in some sort of way over the next 3 months. Health. Interesting. Okay, let's take a look at Canada, the Astrology of Canada, and then I'll pull some Lenormand cards on that as well. So now I also have on my YouTube channel, if you go back, I have a whole, it's like a 2.5, 3-hour webinar that I did 3 years ago on the Astrology of Canada and the hidden history of Canada. So you guys can go check that out on my YouTube. That's available. I don't want to dive too deep into the birth chart. I want to talk more about the current transits. But what I will say about the birth chart is I haven't seen any other country in the world that has what Canada has, which is that Canada, being an 8 degrees Cancer sun in the 4th house of Cancer, has its 8-degree Cancer sun exactly conjunct Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. Uranus is freedom. shocks, surprises, weirdness, protests, revolution, right? Uranus is also separation, things becoming separate, divorce, right? So I really think that something very big is going to happen to Canada over the course of the next year or over the course of the next year and a half, particularly while we have transit Jupiter in Cancer, which will be conjunct the Uranus-Sun conjunction of Canada. Canada separating, Canada becoming a 51st state, Canada joining a union with the states. Something's going on. Something is going on. It's in the chart. Uranus is separation. So I know a lot of people got triggered by me. How dare you say Canada become the 51st state? Fuck you. Literally, people were saying that to me. Okay, could be that, or a part of Canada joins the US, or a part of Canada becomes its own country and separates, or there's a union between the US and Canada that gets created. There's going to be some sort of reform, separation, shocking development, shocking change to the country, or Uranus is freedom. We become a free and independent state, right? We hear you, Ocean. We become truly sovereign. So that's going to be a theme. That's not going away. There's going to be a very big change to what Canada is. Before I go into the transits of Canada, I want to bring up, I did a video in June on the solar return. June? Yeah, June. Every June, I like to do a video looking at the solar return, so the birthday charts for Canada and the US, which are both Cancers. And the current solar return chart that is in effect has, right, a fifth house stellium. Ooh, Sun, Venus, Mercury, all in the fifth house in Canada's solar return. This is not a heavy chart. Okay, there's Pluto in the 12th. Okay, that's kind of intense. Saturn in the first, Neptune in the first. Okay, that's kind of intense. Moon conjunct Chiron, that's kind of intense. Pisces rising, kind of intense. But there's challenges, which I've talked to you guys about. It's not going to be easy the next couple months in Canada, but we're going into very positive territory ahead. And why I'm bringing up the solar return chart is fifth house is celebrations and parties. There will be something to celebrate. There will be a huge celebration of the country and the Canadian people. Now, what do you guys think that would be? Of course, not just Justin Trudeau not being the prime minister, a new government, a new start, a new energy, us being out of this Neptunian Pisces fog, this brainwashing propaganda, mind control, lies, deception that we've been in. Very strong for the whole time Canada's been in a country, but very particularly, the past 5 years. Elizabeth says, let's say goodbye to the crown. Yes. I agree with that. So there's something that's going to be celebrated from now until Canada's next birthday, which when is Canada's birthday? July 1st. Okay. Now, let's look at the transit chart for Canada for today. Okay, so we are in the influence still of our most recent eclipse season. Very important, you guys, to pay attention to the eclipses in astrology. That's one of the most important things to pay attention to. I am Gabriel says, this is all very interesting. I'm happy that you find this interesting. The most recent eclipse season, I made this prediction. That's why some of you guys are saying, oh, Meg called it, Meg predicted it. Yeah, because I said within the next 6 months, starting from September 2024, going until March 2025, there will be the loss of leadership or a stepping down or a resignation or an election happening, because the Pisces eclipse had, when we had that Pisces eclipse, it was with transit Saturn conjunct the South Node and the eclipse conjunct the Chiron in the 12th house. Loss of politicians, loss of governments, loss of powerful people, right? The South Node is lost. Saturn is governments and powers. Then the new moon eclipse Libra 10 degrees on October 2nd was conjunct our vertex, Canada's vertex. New moons, new beginning for the next year period. Libra rules politicians. New fated politicians that are for the people, 6th house of Virgo, for the common people, stepping in. Excuse me. The Conservatives are going to win by a landslide. No questions. You thought the American election was awesome? Watch the party that we are going to have when we have this Canadian election. It is going to be a landslide. This astrology is uncomfortable the next few months because all this stuff is coming to the surface. An old dirty bastard garage says cons are no better. Okay, that's the only choice. That's the only other choice we have right now. And I don't like to put people as, on a pedestal or they're a hero or anything like that. But we might as well try that. And if that doesn't work, then we're going to have to go into a full-blown revolution mode. Okay. But it's going to be a freaking landslide, and we are going to give the Conservatives a chance, and we'll see what happens. Okay. And it's going to be hopeful. I think it is going to be positive moving forward. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. So our next Pisces eclipse on September 7th will be 15 degrees of Pisces. That will also be a lunar eclipse, almost exactly conjunct the South Node of Canada in the 12th house. So again, we're going through this big releasing. I think there's going to be such big revelations coming forward that have been hidden, that have been unconscious, that it's going to take Canadians quite a while to process through that. It's not going to be right away. It's not going to be like breaking news. Here's the truth about Canada. Here's the truth about the monarchy. Here's the truth about the Trudeaus. And then we all get it just in 1 month. And we've all, we've all processed through that. No, it's going to take some time. It's going to take years to rebuild Canada, and our wounds will be right in the face. Wow, it was really this bad? Wow, we were lied to that much? Wow, we believe that? Wow. So it's an ongoing healing process that Canada is going to be. It's not going to be snap your fingers, it's over. We're in an ongoing healing process of the country. And we've still got right now, as I'm filming this video, we've got that transit Saturn conjunct the South Node. So the release, South Node release, 12th house release of governments, politicians. Oh, ocean's meowing to that, right? That have been deceptive. Pisces. Lies. Illusions. Big Pisces energy. So I know I keep saying it, but I am just excited. We've also got Canada's chart ruler, because Canada is a Okay, Ocean, could you maybe stop walking around the whole desk? Sorry, you guys. Can you just chill out, please? So Canada being an Aries rising, right? That means its chart ruler is the ruling planet of whatever your rising sign is Mars. And until February 23rd, Mars is retrograde in Cancer, the sign that Canada is. Countries, homelands, patriotism. So it's like we've got this stellium of planets in the 12th house. We've got Mars retrograde in Cancer, our chart ruler. It's a retrograde energy. It's a funky energy. It's gonna feel slow. It's delayed, but it's to wake up as many Canadians as possible before this election happens, before this big change occurs. So let me know what you guys think so far of everything I'm sharing. JDEK says, Indigenous people of Canada also rising up? That definitely. To me, Indigenous people are Taurus and Pisces because they're very connected to the land. They're more connected to the land than anyone else. That's Taurus. And then Pisces, because they're very connected to spirit. You know, they live in a sacred way. They have been victimized, Pisces. So I do think that whole 12th house action going on could definitely be the Indigenous people rising up. That's a very good point, JDK. There could be like Indigenous people that rise up that share their stories, right, about what's really been going on, which is in my whole Astrology of Canada webinar, I talk about that. That's one of the big secrets, and it's freaking dark. Guys, it's dark. Jenny, hi, Jenny. I'll just say, you know, I don't want to get my YouTube banned here, but I'll just say, I'll try to say this very symbolically. Allegedly, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard this already, but allegedly, a certain family, you know, group of people came and visited Canada. Well, actually, several times visited Canada. And when they did, allegedly, they stole Indigenous children and did create like horrific things to Indigenous children. Guys, it goes deep. It's like people, a group of people that many people love and worship and think are the bee's knees, even in 2025, allegedly would come to Canada. And I mean, that could come out. That will come out. This is Pluto and Aquarius. All this shit is coming out. That is a potential and a very good point, Jenny. Very good point. That could happen in these next few months with this astrology, for sure. So this is crazy stuff, you guys. This is crazy. And on top of that, if that's not enough, okay, if that's not enough, right now, transit Neptune conjunct the natal Chiron of Canada. Oh my God. Oh my God. In the 12th house. And what's Chiron? Our wounds, our pain, our trauma. I'm going to say it again. Astrological remedy for all my fellow Canadians. Well, for any of us at this time with the North Node in Pisces, okay, is spiritual practices, self-care, healing, forgiveness, ho'oponopono, any kind of spiritual mind, body, spirit practices, Pisces, because we are going to be processing a lot. Something big is coming out. There are big secrets coming out. that are going to be uncomfortable and hard to hear about the truth of Canada. And at the same time, Pisces is like the mind control and the brainwashing. There's a potential of forces trying to distract us from all that coming out, right? I don't even know if this is still on YouTube. Let me see if this is still on YouTube, what I'm going to bring up here. Just one second, you guys. Some of you might have seen before the holiday. Oh, it's still on YouTube. Holy guacamole. This is still on YouTube. Anna Kalukas is a sex trafficking survivor, right, from Belgium. Jens taught me about her, or shared her with me. And 1 month ago, PBD podcast, 1.8 million views by her book, Quest for Love. It's amazing. She said, Pierre Elliott Trudeau was one of my abusers. He was one of my scariest abusers. He was terrifying. He was brutal. He was a part of this network that abused me, a part of these elite families. That should have been front page news all over the place, that one of the biggest podcasts in the world, PBD podcast, had Anna Kalukas on and made that claim. Right? That's crazy. So things are going to get into a bigger space. The information is going to come out. And it's things like this. I mean, if you're a Canadian that you love Pierre Elliott Trudeau for whatever reason, you loved him, you thought he was cool, you thought Margaret Trudeau was cool, right? And then you hear something like that, that's a mind fuck, right? Or for me, it was only in the last 5 years, you guys. It was only in the last 5 years for me, as I'm now a 32-year-old Canadian, okay? It wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I realized fully that, because I did the research during the pandemic. Wait, Canada's not free. Wait, we have this governor general. Wait, the king still is the top dog? I didn't even realize that. And maybe I just smoked too much weed in high school because I was like addicted to weed in high school. I've talked about that on my channels before. I didn't do that well in school. Or like, were we even really seriously taught that in school? Because I talked to other fellow Canadians about that. And many Canadians legitimately think Canada is free and independent, and they don't understand the whole governor general, and they don't understand that whole constitutional monarchy system. So even me as a conspiracy theorist Canadian, it wasn't like until 5 years ago where I really realized, we're not a free country. Right? That's going to be big wake up for a lot of people, because that's something I saw in a lot of the comments last week. Yeah, Shelley says you're completely right about that, Meg. Most Canadians aren't aware of that. Yeah, I actually had a conversation with someone who's an elder family member of mine recently, and I was telling them, well, actually, no, we're not free. We're a constitutional monarchy, and the prime minister doesn't have the final say. And they were like, no, you're wrong about that. No, the governor general, no, that's just a placeholder. That's just a seat. And I was like, no, you don't get it. And I was in that same boat like 5 years ago. Guys, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. Okay, let me see. Is there anything else that I want to share with you guys? Talked about, already talked about that stellium. 12th house Pisces stellium. Also, when we get more into March, when Neptune is actually, Yeah, February, March. Even it's happening right now. Neptune is in square to the moon, but it's going to be very strong February and March. The moon is the people of Canada. Neptune in square, confusion, mind control, brainwashing, not seeing things clearly. I already kind of touched on that. It's going to be confusing. So please do those astrological remedies I mentioned, self-care, going to be very important because there might be times where it's overwhelming. It might be times, 12th house in Pisces, it can be depressing in the negative side. It can be like, I just want to tune out. I just want to drink. I just want to smoke weed. I just want to do a drug and tune out. Canadians, that's the worst thing literally for you to be doing, actually, during this period. Stay as sober as you possibly can because you're going to just feel like you're altered with the energies of the country astrologically for the next 3 months. Okay, a drink of wine every now and then, that's okay, but I'm talking if you're using something as a crutch, okay, not good. Not good during this period. Stay as grounded as you can, right? Very, very important to be grounded. The catnip can help. Yeah, the catnip can help. I love giving catnips to Ocean and Shia. Love that. And I know I said some intense things in today's video. I like to keep it real with you guys, but remember, my fellow Canadians and everyone that's going to be watching Canada, brighter times are ahead. We're in Pluto and Aquarius. Canada is a sun conjunct Uranus. We've got Jupiter entering its exalted position of Cancer. Canada and USA are both Cancers. This is going to be amazing from June 2025 to July 2026 for Canada and US. So we're going through, it's like that saying, it's darkest before the dawn. That's Canada for the next 2.5 months. Darkest before the dawn. Okay, before I finish up today's video, you guys, let's pull some cards, some Lenormand cards for Canada for the next 3 months. And I'll pull some astrology cards too. How are we going to deal with this? How can we deal with this? Okay, I know not everybody's a Canadian that's watching this video, but actually, okay, I'll do 2 separate ones. First is just, okay, what's coming up for Canada in the next 3 months? What do we need to be aware of? I'm getting like full body chills as I'm pulling these cards. I'm getting chills all over my whole body as I'm pulling these cards. Thank you, Evie, for the super chat. Whoa, okay. Wow. Okay. So I always like to pull 3 Lenormand cards. The way that I like to do it is it's like makes a sentence. That's one of the ways that you can do the Lenormand. So we've got the rider, we've got the ship, and we've got the moon. Sorry, the moon, the heart. Why did I just say the moon? We've got the heart. That's weird that I just said the moon. Okay, the question was, what's coming up for Canada the next 3 months? Rider is things happening fast. Rider is news coming in fast. Okay. That would actually be, I didn't mention this in this video, but a high vibration for Pisces or expression of Pisces is like divine miracles. So I didn't mention that, but okay, there could be a miracle actually that occurs. And it could happen very fast. So that's interesting that the cards are saying that that's a potential. Hi, JC. Nice to see you. There's movement. So it's interesting. We've got this 12th house stellium, which I've been honest with you guys in this video, what that's all about. It's not going to be easy for Canada the next 2.5 months. But there's movement and there's things changing. And interesting, there's international support. The ship is international. foreign countries, travel, but of course, we're doing a reading for Canada. Canada is not something that can, it's not a person that can travel. I think this has to do with our foreign friends and our allies and the states, right? Interesting. Okay, so we're having the whole 51st state concept come out. I'm hearing spirits say there's a strengthening in the bond with our international allies. I'm not good at holding these cards up. Sorry, you guys. I'm hearing spirits say there's a strengthening in the bond. Okay, interesting. JC says, great job, Meg. I have a burning question for you. Can I jump on in a few minutes? Sure, I'll send you the link if you'd like to jump on, JC. Just a second. I'm happy that I'm not losing my voice because right before I went live, my voice was being all weird, but I think I sound good, you guys. Okay, so what was I going to say there? Okay, this is way more positive than I thought it was going to be, this card reading for Canada. Yay! Okay, it's not going to be that bad. Okay, so the Lenormand cards are saying it's not going to be as bad as it could possibly be. Guys, that's really, really good. Let's also pull some astrology cards and see what we get here. Oh, I wanted to ask another Lenormand message. Okay, I wanted to ask, actually, I can pull the astrology cards for that. How can Canada deal with this? Yeah, let's ask the astrology cards for that. Oh my God, that just made me so happy. Okay, it's not going to be that bad. Did I sound too negative, you guys? Strengthening of the bond. I'm hearing that over and over again. Strengthening of the bond. Okay. So how can Canadians in the world get through this transition? What can we do to get through this transition of the next few months of Canada? What's going to happen? Okay. I'm feeling to pull Ford. Can't even talk. 10th house, authority. Being in our authority. This is interesting because it's also the house of governments, politicians, right? So how can we get through the next 3 months? That's crazy because when I pulled do you guys remember if you were watching at that part, when I pulled the Lenormand cards for Justin Trudeau, we got the mountains. And in this 10th house card, there's mountains. Yes, Linda, the Capricorn house. So stand strong, be in our authority. And it's interesting because it's like what I was saying earlier, the 10th house is lessons that we have to go through, right? It's like delays, sometimes limitations, sometimes things are not going how we expected them to go, but it's a mountain that we have to climb. That's what the 10th house, that's what Capricorn is all about, right? So there's a mountain that we have to climb. We will be successful. 10th house is we will be successful. Jill, you're reading my mind. Hi, Steve. Yeah, mountains again. The 10th house is success. Jill, you're a Capricorn. So Capricorns know all about triumph of the will, success, getting to the top of the mountain, right? There will be success. Taurus, self-care. And I mentioned that like 3 or 4 times already. So how can we get through this? Know that team freedom, humanity is winning. This is winning. 10th house is the success and winning card. And just do self-care throughout the process. And also we've got the descendant card. So, descendant is the beginning of the 7th house of others, right? So lean on others, have your strong connections, and there's going to be I'm hearing spirits say, if you're a freedom-loving Canadian like me, truther Canadian, it feels like there's people coming out of the woodworks. There's some kind of information coming forward. Something, some big secret or set of secrets is gonna come out that's gonna trip out the world about Canada, but also Canadians about their own country. And so we're gonna be called upon to support people in a really big way that might be tripped out through that process. Positive power. I like the idea of keeping the 10 provinces as new American states and keeping the 3 territories. Like, well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some big changes for Canada in the next year. That's for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I just saw a comment. CeeLo Joe. Hi, CeeLo Joe says, I bet our national parks have been hiding lizards. You never know. The national parks are fascinating, and I've been really, really drawn in the past 2 years, Jens and I, to spend as much time as possible in the national parks or just like wilderness areas. I've been so guided to do that lately. And the energy is different. It's very, very important for us, for our mind, body, spiritual health, to spend time in the wilderness, right? And it's interesting that you're saying that, CeeLo Joe, because it makes me think too about how Canada has so much wilderness, right? There's untapped, so much hidden about Canada, and most of the population of Canada lives within, I can't forget the exact approximation of it, but most of Canada lives like really close to the border. So there's all this wilderness that we've never even touched, right? Oh my God, we have JC here.
Hi, Meg. How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Came in hot for a second, but it sounds good.
All right.
How's
First of all, Meg, Happy New
Yeah,
Year.
thank you. Happy Gregorian New Year.
Yeah, what a day in Canadian politics for us Canadians.
I know.
Can you
I know.
imagine?
I
Just a
feel the
couple of days
same
ago.
way that, oh, sorry to
Go ahead.
interrupt you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel I listened to the show that you and Janine did earlier, and I feel the exact same way as you. Like I I'm not feeling the celebration vibe. I want to be feeling the celebration vibe, but I think there's a lot more to come.
There's a lot more to come, and that's
Yeah.
part of what I want to ask you. So I'm prepping for the show, the Beyond Me
Yeah.
News, for tonight here with Janine. We're going to be decoding what's happening in the States here with Trump being confirmed, but also this announcement that Trudeau is quote unquote intending to resign. So when people are
Right.
celebrating today, I'm like, hold on, you might be going a little too fast here.
Yeah.
So in politics, there's a lot of wordplay. And the prime minister here today said he intended to resign. So he's not resigning and it's not done yet. Now, the way the timeline has been set up in the news stream for today was that he asked the governor general for prorogation, which she's accepted now until March 24. And the
Right.
reason that date is critical is because at the end of March, the government basically runs out of money, and they have to come back to the Ways and Means or Appropriations Committee here to get new funding for government expenditures past March. So that
Mhm.
meant that he couldn't prorogue, as some had suggested, maybe till October and stay in power even longer and perhaps even prorogue for 2 years. There was question of that just last week.
Wow.
Constitutional scholars were looking at that. As terrifying as that might have been, so
Mhm.
far it seems to have a clock on it. But
Mhm.
here's the thing: he said he intends to resign. So now we've suspended government. He's got no official opposition, yet he's still the prime minister, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that's kind of frightening to me. So in a way, okay, it kind of feels that he finally got the message that people want him to go, kinda, but not really. He kind of blame it on the all the insider fighting inside of the government. Has nothing to do with his policies or what Canadians think about him. It's because of this infighting, and he can't fight the two fronts, right? That's what he said today. So what I'm trying to get at here is he potentially, and I heard part of your show here just the beginning, that this in a way is going to be good for Canada. It strengthens our bonds. And
Mhm.
I think I have a path to why that might be. And that's what I want to pull with you.
Yeah.
So remember during the trucker convoy, Freeland at the time was having all of these meetings with her CSIS representatives, with the RCMP, and they were looking at constitutional experts,
Yeah.
and they were looking at any type of thing they could grab onto to change legislation, to move them into a position here to name the truckers terrorists. They wanted to put that label on there to give them these additional powers on how to deal with them, right? These
Yeah.
mean protesters, right?
Yeah.
And so it's possible here that Trudeau is making a move today, not to resign, but to buy time to change legislation, to move the narrative, to get other things under his belt, so to speak, in reality that he can point to and say, aha, look, because of this, and that, we are now in an emergency. I have to once again declare what my father did, the Emergencies Act or the War Measures Act, and I'm
Mm.
here, and there's no transition of power anytime soon until we deal with this. So I'm looking at this and this morning, and of course you're going to say, "Oh, JC, you're just being too crazy," and that guy wouldn't go to those efforts to stay in power. I'm like, "Are you sure?" So I'm wondering right now if this is not just a ruse to get us to where either we have a financial fallout, which is in the cards right now,
Yeah.
whether we have another declaration of war, whether that's Libya, Syria, Ukraine to another extent, Europe here with Russia, or whether we have this new fog, new disease. The bird flu was just announced today, had its first victim in the States. So they're ramping up all the vectors to
Mhm.
give us the potential for an Emergencies Act to be put in place. So I'm wondering if in the chart of Trudeau right now,
Yeah.
you see some type of indication that he's actually stalling for time, or that he's trying to create an atmosphere where there's an event that could justify him putting in place an Emergencies Act. And you know that saying, if you let the government remove your rights during states of emergencies, they will create emergencies to remove all of your rights, right?
Right.
So is
Right.
that what's happening here right now? What do you guys think?
Mhm. That is fascinating. I think there's definitely something I'm feeling intuitively behind the scenes that the liberals, that whole group, they're trying to do. And I felt that as soon as the resignation came out, I did not feel happiness. I did not feel joy. I'm sorry, you guys, if I sound negative. I just immediately felt like, okay, there's definitely something up their sleeves, and I'm not going to be celebrating until we actually are moving forward in a new direction. There's some new energy for Canada. Catnip says they're playing chess, totally.
Sure.
And it reminds me of that show. Have you ever seen that show, House of Cards?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's love that show. That's
Yeah.
it's like it's all chess. It's all people
Right.
against each other and all that stuff. Now, Trudeau's chart specifically, it's a weird one, as I've said before, because something's going on with this guy. And we're on YouTube and Rumble right now. I'll be careful, but
Okay.
is this really like what is this right now that we're looking at? And I do think that the chart still does make sense, but there's some kind of possible experimentation going on with him. It might not be the original, if you guys get my drift. So, how the astrology exactly pertains to that, it's kind of different than the usual person. But he's got multiple things that I kind of talked about in today's video showing he's not in a powerful position. And I see him going away somewhere, either going to a foreign country or hiding away. I don't see this as someone that is being supported, because it's not just him that would make that decision. It would be also people around him in these kind of hidden hand groups that would agree, yeah, let's, do an emergencies act. It wouldn't just be him. I don't see the support around him for that to happen. Maybe there's a different way that the liberals will try to do that. You're way better at, the whole political Canadian system than me, JC. But the thing I find the most interesting, which I don't know if you heard this part I talked about, is in the transits for Canada, there's tons of planets for the next few months, particularly March, which is our next eclipse season, which is the Beyond the Mystic conference around that time, when there's a bunch of planets transiting Canada's 12th house. This is the most challenging house in astrology. So this is not an easy time. I've been sharing with everybody. This is going to be a very challenging time. There's going to be, and I heard Janine say this on one of the shows with you recently, something come out, like some kind of secret or something be revealed that could be shocking to people about Canada or about Justin Trudeau or the Trudeau family. I definitely see that with the chart. Whatever these kind of hidden groups maybe have up their sleeves, which I'm sure they've got plans up their sleeves. By the end of March, Canadians are mentally feeling like they're going crazy. That's what the
Okay.
astrology is showing. So mentally, we are not in a good place. We are confused. We're pissed off. We want clarity. There's major disruption to the health system. That's interesting because I didn't even think about the bird flu.
Right.
So maybe they try to really push that in Canada first. Maybe they try to do, knock on wood, mandates. We'll see about that. But I'm seeing by the end of March, Canadians are pissed. They're confused. And they're like not having it at all anymore.
Okay,
Whatever.
let's just pause there. I want to parse that with you. If that's the case, and you and I think, are on the same page. We listen to both aisles of the power, the conservatives and the liberals, and to some extent, some of the NDPs.
Yeah.
And for the most part, everybody kind of agrees, whether you're liberal or not, that this guy has to go, right?
Yeah.
So there's an overwhelming arc of sentiment that this guy has to go. So if in March, the majority in Canadians, which would include some of our liberal friends and family members, are not happy with the situation and frustrated with what's happening, it's probably because either he's not going or something's changed the dial here to what they were expecting. And this is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Whether or not the Liberal Party, because here's the thing, they all have vested interests. I think Pierre Poilievre said it well the other day. He said, only now suddenly are the Liberals pissed off at their leader because he's so down in the polls that they're afraid to lose their election, but they were more than happy to support all of his destructive policies over the last decade or so, right? So they're being very, I guess, altruistic about their decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not happy and we're in a hard place in March, that would presume that the plan or the rollout that's been pushed out today of coming back on March 24, presenting either a budget or a throne speech or both of which could sustain a non-confidence vote and trigger an election.
Yeah.
If we are to have an election, I would see that chart as, yay, we're finally going to have our say into how we want to have Canada move forward. What you have there in the 12th house kind of suggests that, no, not exactly like we think. Can you expand on that? Like, am I correct here on how I'm reading that and interpreting that?
Yeah, you're totally correct. This is not, and I love what you just said there, because it is important for even me to like expand my mind and go, okay, wait a second, Meg, what if that even was a brainwashing in itself, which I don't believe anything Trudeau says, but what if that was a total like fucking lie, excuse my language, you guys, where they're not even planning to have it prorogued until just right, March 24th. Because this is why I'm saying it's so confusing. This is Pisces. This is Pisces right here. It's like you're being told this thing on the screens today, Canada. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave. I'm having these family issues. Just wait until March 24th. But then there's this whole other thing happening behind the scenes that, okay, you'll see soon enough about that. So there's definitely, we don't have the clear story yet. Canada is not going to have clarity until we go into April, May, June. And it gives me no pleasure to say that because I am a Canadian, obviously.
Right.
We're in a very fog. That word you said, fog, we're in a fog.
Right.
We're in a fog.
And we're not getting clarity at March. But what we're being told today is that by March 24, we would have clarity. Either he would present a budget, it would pass, and people would be happy with the new leader moving forward after this leadership race, or we would declare an election, which people would be happy. Okay, we're going back to the polls, and we'll have a say on what the mandate is for the next 4 years on how to deal with the incoming president in the United States, for example. This
Yeah.
doesn't appear to be the case. If you want to bring up the Rumble channel from Sunday, I did a wacky woo with Joe and Woo Woo Dude.
Yeah.
In there, I asked Woo Woo Dude, I said, listen, I'm a little bit preoccupied, I guess is the word, but cautiously optimistic about these governments falling around the world, these World Economic Forum puppets. They're falling one after the other. We've seen what happened in France recently, the no confidence vote in Germany. We're seeing now what's happening to Trudeau. So we're seeing them kind of crumble, but yet they're all being slight about it and using all these delay tactics as opposed to just, saving the house, saving the furniture, have a new election and try to win again in 4 years. This is not what they're doing. Even the UK now is delaying some of these elections. So it appears to me that they're in a holding pattern because they know something is about to happen, and whatever that thing is, it's so disruptive on one level that it might, on the other level, on the political side, give them the ways and means and the tools to convince the public that now is not the time to have an election or to change the horse midstream in this race. We have fucking ETs, or we have whatever this or whatever that. Therefore, we need to steer the course with the people in power. It feels like that's the play they're doing. And Richard was like, dude, you just fucking nailed it. That's exactly what's happening. So whether that's true or not, that's what we're feeling right now. Is there something in the astrology, not necessarily of Trudeau, but maybe that we could look in the astrological transits right now? Because you remember how leading up to the last phase of 2024, you had come on the show and you had talked about how basically the bad guys were going to have one last kick at the can here, that there's some alignments that are supporting them, and you said something like they're going to throw everything at us, including the kitchen sink, right? And now we're seeing it. We're seeing the bird flu, we're seeing the drones, we're seeing the fog, we're seeing the weather, we're seeing all this crap here. So how much longer do they have that power in them and some of these influences to help them stay in power? What's that transit like right now? What do you see?
I would say it's all of 2025.
Still, okay.
But it starts to get easier to navigate, and the path is clearer out of this fog starting in the summer of 2025. That is when, really interesting, in 2025, all the outer planets change signs. That's unprecedented. That's very auspicious. And they all start to enter fire and air signs. So we're coming out of the outer planets, which are affecting the generation and the collective, the generational planets. They've been in water and earth, which is heavy and it's tired. And it's Pisces, water, which is confusion and illusions and brainwashing. Neptune, the strongest outer planet in Pisces. So once all those guys starting in the summer shift into fire and air, this is clarity. This is action. Your JC is an Aries, right? Aries are in the present moment. They're very clear, usually, right? They're very no BS. Here's the common sense. The fire and the air signs have that as a gift. And all of us as a collective will start to step more into that, where these tactics are not going to work anymore. And also by summer 2025, Uranus, which is the ruling planet of Pluto in Aquarius, in the age of Aquarius, the ruling planet of Aquarius, will be out of Taurus. We've been going through that Uranus at fallen Taurus since 2018 into Gemini. So we're going to see huge revolutions like we have not seen since the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, anywhere where there's funny business going on.
I just listened to an interview with Michelle Rampol and the Western News. It's a news organization, I think, in Calgary, so in west of Canada. And in it, the interviewer was asking, hey, it very much appears right now that the Governor General is betraying Canada by letting Trudeau use this particular tactic here, this prorogation. Yeah. And they showed videos of Trudeau saying that Harper was a dictator and a Nazi kind of, I can't say these words on YouTube, but you know what I mean, when he had used a similar tactic way back when, and yet here he is doing the same thing. But in that interview, it was interesting. He said, what can we do right now? Because technically, if the government is not in session, I mean, everybody can kick and scream all they want on social media, including the NDP and the Conservative Party. but really nothing is going to happen unless, and this is where the interviewer was asking, says maybe we need another trucker convoy. And that kind of like, that raised a bell to me, because I'm like, oh, there's astrology here behind that type of movement also, where Canada says this far, no further. And don't forget that it was at this time last year that the RCMP was forced through, I think, Freedom of Information requests, divulged that they had given a secret memo to government, fearing that Canadians were in fact going to revolt once they realized how poor they actually were. We're seeing that now. People just realized that also with the last budget and with the debacle of Chrystia Freeland just resigning over it, right? And the fact that they're trying to put up Mark Carney as a replacement when perhaps he was the architect of it in the meantime, that might enrage Canadians to the point of realizing, oh my God, this is absolutely crazy, and they might take to the streets here. And now we're moving into the spring section. Whereas the trucker convoy, when I was reporting, it was minus 40. Not very pleasant for Canadians to be taking the street at minus 40. But in February, March, if we see that this administration is trying to, by Emergencies Act or whatever legal maneuver, try to stay in power even longer, we could get to that kind of tinderbox kind of moment. What do you see in astrology for that in terms of that turmoil?
Yeah, I'm just going to bring up the transit chart for that actually, because I want to see, okay, when is it that Canada is actually, because up until the end of March, I would be very surprised if there was to be a full-on protest, people out in the street, because the 12th house of Pisces, with a lot of the planets there, that's being at home. That's, I'm sensitive. I don't feel good. I'm scared. I'm confused. I can't get out of bed. I have to call in like work a mental health burnout. A lot of people doing that. That's Pisces. I can't handle it. But then as soon as, Venus, Sun, Mercury go into the first house of Aries past 16 degrees, I'm pissed off. I'm out on the streets. Fuck you. I'm getting in the truck. We're going to Ottawa. So that'll be April. That won't be March.
So we need to go through these 2-3 months of confusion,
yes,
and getting angered or triggered by something else that's disappointing us here at the end of March. Do you see that more having to do with politics, with economics, with health, the flu thing, or with the damn ETs? They appear to be in every data set here we're looking at moving forward here in 2025. Or is it all of the above and the kitchen sink included?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. In particular, health. I think they may try to really do, unfortunately, whatever the next thing is, focus it in Canada, possibly. That's, yeah.
And again, like, that's scary. Going back to that phrase, if you let government remove your civil rights when there's an emergency, they'll create emergencies to remove your civil rights, right? It very much looks like they might get another kick at the can on this one. And again, just today, of all of this news coming out, we have that first death here. I think it's in South Carolina or something. It appears to be in the air, even though that, just like the previous situation, we're on YouTube here, seems to have been contrived and coordinated and all that. They might have enough of ability still using their mainstream news minions to promulgate this, to create more fear, just enough again to validate themselves for creating another emergency type situation where they give themselves all of these powers and they prevent democracy from moving forward, similar to what Strammer is doing now in the UK, preventing or delaying election dates, which is really, really odd. Because again, they keep going out there saying they're so strong and they have the support of Canadians in this case, and we have to continue fighting for it. And, well, ask them. If you're so sure, why don't you just go out and ask? There's a thing called an election, and you'll get a mandate or you won't. So that's very, I guess, concerning moving forward as a Canadian. And like you, today I watched it. I'm like, that's not what I wanted to hear, man. It's just not. Intending to resign is not resigning.
No.
There's two very different things. And also, when you look at his speech, he's basically putting the ills of this country on the opposition party and on his party with the infighting. He has nothing to do with any of that. He would be happy to continue fighting for Canadians. He's happy with his job. But, this little pesky thing happening in the background is a distraction, and therefore I should go. So, not what we wanted to hear. Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But, we've been going through it the past few years. And like you said on the show that you just did with Janine earlier, you talked to family members and you were very surprised
Yeah.
how red-pilled some people have become. And I think that's going to be a really good part of it for us freedom-loving Canadians and also people over the whole world. You're going to start to see more and more people, neighbors, friends, families you weren't expecting to wake up, go through that process. The dark night of the soul brings us to the wake up. That's why it's happening. So it's
Yeah.
important to remember that, you guys.
Yeah, and like you, that's what's encouraging because I keep asking my guests as we're entering 2025, what was the highlight of 24? So people are talking about the elections and stuff like that. But I also keep reminding them, yeah, but we are getting stronger. The fringe minority is getting to this majority point day by day by day. And we're being surprised by our friends and families who have come a long way just in the last couple of months swallowing those big red pills, right? So that's very encouraging. And we are now united in, they might not all know why and be as eloquent as you are pointing at the charts and saying what the hell's going on, but they
Yeah.
know it ain't right and they want none of it. So that's very different than where we were perhaps 4 years ago. So I think this is what leads us to this big clash between officialdom trying to push one last kick at the can at their power and humanity saying no, this far no further, and us having that and that also ties in now to Martin Armstrong's economic forecasting, Cliff High's
Yeah.
forecasting, the remote viewers. They're all seeing this contention and fighting in the streets. Now,
Mm.
it's not necessarily ubiquitous across the board, but we're seeing that now coming up, and I see people in the chat sometimes saying, "Oh, that's not my reality. I choose a different reality." Good for you. I hope it works. But what if it doesn't, right? What if it does come to your street and your kids are in danger somehow? We need to
Mhm.
really be very vigilant here as we move forward. So, what can you say, Meg, is the key to us maybe coming out of this as unscathed as possible? That's what I'm looking for right now. Like, how do we do this? What is it? Just communicating? Is there something else we could do? It feels to me that we're being giving these what appears to be wins, but like
Mhm.
Catherine Austin Fitz was saying in an
Yeah.
interview with Greg Hunter the other day, she's saying, yeah, we have some cool things that were shining over here, but in the back there, the legislation is still encroaching on your right to
Mhm.
garden in your backyard, to get water, forcing you into digital ID. All of this stuff is encroaching in the back, and that's the killer. That's where they're like this net is going around us, this new net of control that
Yeah.
presumably is still the agenda at play behind the scenes. So, yes, we're successful in a few things right now, and we have to be happy about that. But two, we still have to be very vigilant moving forward. These are very critical times. But what do we need to do? What would you say?
Mhm. Well, might sound Scorpio intense for me to say. I'm a Scorpio, JC's an Aries, so we're both traditionally ruled by Mars, who's currently retrograde right now. As soon as I saw that news today, it was my initial Scorpio Mars instinct was thank God I bought the Starlink. Thank God I have all the extra food. Thank God I have the gold and silver. Thank God I have the cat. Like that was my initial, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. So, I've talked a lot in this video and recently about self-care, do your spiritual practices. We got the North Node going into Pisces. That will be a remedy for Canadians going through this process. But the opposite of Pisces is Virgo. That's another astrological remedy. We can look at the opposite of something. Virgo is having your shit together. And the common sense fact of we are in a spiritual war, Mars, Aries, Scorpio, and what do you need in this war? What are possibilities that they can do? They can possibly mess with the food.
Yeah.
They can possibly mess with the finances, with the Uranus and Taurus, with the Wi-Fi connection. Cut that off. So whatever, yeah, Gazilla says, prep and stand firm. That's what I would honestly say,
Yeah.
because these groups of people that have had control over us for the whole past dark age of the past 12,000 years, they're not going to want to give this up
Mm,
lightly.
mm, yeah.
So be prepped. And hopefully we don't need that stuff. I got all this extra food. I bought all this stuff at Canadian Tire and online the past year. Hopefully I don't need that stuff. But if I don't use that, I can use it when I go camping. I can use it if we got a crazy winter storm and I need it, right? It's good to just be prepared. And we are in a spiritual war right now.
And
So
here's the thing, there's no downside. There's no downside to being prepped. None. Like you said, you'll eventually use it anyways, right? So there's no downtime. And at the same time, it brings your head into a different space of, okay, I'm here, I'm positioned, I'm stable, I'm standing strong here. And on top of that, I might be able to help my brother, my sister, my neighbor because I'm prepared and they're not. It puts you in a very different mindset. So I think that's very important moving forward. And of course, continuing to have these uncomfortable conversations, not dive into the fear of them. A lot of people say, "Oh, GC, you're so negative, man." It's like you're into fear porn. No, 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 no. I'm fighting for your right and for my right to continue to choose to create this reality that we want for humans,
yeah,
not this thing that's being played in the background where they're telling us they're doing this when in fact they're doing that in the background. And I see a lot of that still happening right now, and to some extent, I'm like, I feel like we're in a struggle right now, or in a stalemate of that bullshit kind of duality that we're in. Like, we're being told this and we're being told the platitudes, but in the in the real sense of the world, it's not really changing right now in the background. Just like Trudeau didn't really leave office today, so it's
mhm,
kind of fake news to have all of these people celebrate right now. It's just
yeah,
not true. It hasn't happened yet.
yeah,
And in politics, 3 months is a fucking eternity. I'll tell you, in
yeah,
politics, a week is an eternity. So 3 months, anything can happen. So no decision made yet. No actual promises given. Also, he said he intended. It's not a promise. And there's many things that could go wrong from here to there. And again, like Meg said, they're not giving up. They can't give up. That's the other thing we need to understand. These people cannot give up. They're dead if they do. So they
yeah,
have to keep pushing and keep pushing. And that's a crazy start to 2025. Nobody was expecting, but yet we were all expecting something
yeah,
similar to the setup that's happening now. And I'd like to say, and maybe you can bring up the chart for January.
yeah.
There's anything mid January. Clef High seems to be pointing at
Jan,
January 14, 15, 16. There's a big emotional value date there as well. And he's saying that, by the end of January, all these conversations will be either vindicated or thrown out the window. There's no waiting 6 months to see where this is going. We have to see it now. It's crunch time. Whether Trump is inaugurated, whether they have these emergencies, whether the bird flu is coming in, or financial stuff, or more aliens. Like, it's just everything's there, everything's on the table, it's ready to go, and we won't have to wait that long here to see where it goes. So what do you have in astrology for January,
yeah.
and why is there a peak mid-January?
Well, that's really interesting because January 11th is when the North Node moves into Pisces. So the North Node and South Node are the calculated points where the eclipses happen from our Earth's perspective, right? So we have two eclipse seasons every year, but we always have the calculated point of the South Node, the North Node. The North Node is our collective higher purpose, right? It's our destiny for the next year and a half period, starting January 11th, going until July 2026. And right when the North Node enters Pisces, he's almost exactly conjunct Neptune. I'm always talking about Neptune, the strongest outer planet in Pisces, which, yes, rules spirituality, but health and what's and the experimentations of what has been done and the health system. So something could be very highlighted having to do with the health system. I mean, that's going to be all of 2025. We're going to be talking about health. I mean,
Well, if RFK, and it appears he has enough votes to confirm his nomination as
oh,
HHS secretary, so Health and Human Services, I think it's called in the States, that brings him into power to open the books about the VERS database, some of these contracts with these manufacturers. We can
yeah,
get into here too. So suddenly we might see also some other stuff about lawsuits that we still haven't heard about because they're under gag order on their previous government. And suddenly we could see a bigger situation where people realize, all those tinfoil ladders were right. So we're talking about the previous one as they are trying to roll out the second one here too. So it's going to be a big clash of the titans in information field. That's for sure.
yeah.
Wow.
And also January 13th, which is like within that, I think, data set, we're having a full moon, 20 degrees of Cancer. And Cancer rules countries and homelands and patriotism. With Mars retrograde in Cancer, conjunct that full moon. So people no matter where they live in the world, are going to be very triggered emotionally, Cancer's emotions, by whatever's happening in the home country. And there could be repressed anger coming to the surface. I think there could be a bunch of different things happening at the same time around that period, actually, spiritually, health-wise, not so much maybe financially, like a crash or something like that during that period, but emotionally, people are feeling triggered. Information can come out that people are, pissed off about country developments, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to
Uh,
be interesting.
Chicky Blue in your chat is saying working in health system in Canada, overtime, overtime, overtime. It's ridiculousness.
Working
He
in a
said.
health system. Yeah.
So I talked to another friend of mine who also works in an ER. Two of our friends, Sarah has a friend, I have a friend, and they're both saying, "Dude, it's crazy. Everybody's sick." We
Yeah.
were out between Christmas and New Year's at a very famous restaurant in Ottawa, which you normally have to reserve at least a month ahead, let alone during the holiday season. It's always booked. And we got there and the place was half empty. And I asked the waiter, "What the hell's going on? Like, you guys are like the shit. Like, everybody
Yeah.
wants to be in this restaurant."
Yeah.
He says, "It's funny. Everybody keeps calling every morning to cancel reservation. Everybody's sick and the waiters are sick." He says, "I don't know what the hell's going on." So is that a latent effect of some of these past products? Is that in combination with the weird fog, the weird rains we're seeing, or something else they're trying to prop up right now? You remember in the early days of 2020, there were people going around spreading some stuff to make people sick too, apparently, allegedly, just to create the narrative of this. But clearly people are sick and they're filling up the hospitals right now. So we might be on that verge there. The health side seems to be more plausible when I look at your chart here. That's
Yeah.
could be for the mid-January thing. And again, that leads to all of this other stuff, the emergencies, the lockdowns, the who knows what, right? So,
Yeah.
oh boy.
Definitely. Health is going to be huge for 2025. And in everybody's medical astrology, because all the planets, everything also has to do with the medical astrology. All doctors before the witch trials were also astrologers. Um, you know, it's our immune systems are weaker in 2025 with the
Hmm.
South Node in Virgo, health, with the Saturn Neptune conjunction. So we're detoxifying all these things, not just the ones of the past few years, but all those things, all experimental um, procedures that we've gone through, the past 100 years or so of Western society. So it's going to be a huge topic for sure. And I think that might be around what comes up in this
Hmm.
period.
Wow.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
definitely.
Wow.
Cool. Well, you've got
Okay.
a nice moon for
Well, who said 2025 was going to be easy?
just a light topic.
Just a light topic. And it was funny. I was talking to Cliff Heidi the other day, and he says, JC, really have to tell you people, strive to survive 2025. This is it. Like, if you
Wow.
thought the last 4 years were tough, and they were, like, you and I were in the trenches, all of it, and we kept falling and getting back up and falling and getting back up. It was hard. But that apparently is just an appetizer for what's around the corner. So there's still, and here's the positive thing in all that. We are built and we were trained through all of our experiences in our lives for this moment. This is
Yeah.
it, what's coming up in front of us. So we have what it takes to go through it. Don't be afraid. It's not a fear talk. This is no. Think about where you've been in your life, what you've gone through, add that culminoric information field together, and we have what we need to go through this. Because guess what? On the other side of it, the innovation boom, sci-fi
Oh, yeah.
world, getting away from all of these matrix of controls and creating what we want. We're just there now, but we can't take our foot off the gas pedal. We have to push forward. Now's the time. And join us this year for all the crazy programming on Beyond Mystic, and make sure to subscribe to Meg's channel here if you haven't already done so. She's popping up some great stuff here. Meg, I gotta go. I have a few more minutes to prepare my slide deck here. We're going live at 8:00 with Janine for the Beyond the News Breaking News edition tonight. We're going to have our hands full with everything going on. So please
Awesome.
come and join us there on pay-per-view or on the Insider Access Pass. I love you guys. Thanks, Meg. And what are you doing tomorrow? You're doing the Psychic Spies tomorrow on Rumble.
Now we're going to do a Psychic Spies on Rumble on Ellen DeGeneres, and we've got the first As Above, So Below of the year with Ashala. So looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be good.
I'll be all ears. Thanks, Meg, for having me on. Really appreciate you answering my questions. I'll use part of that for the show here tonight. Really appreciate all your work, Meg. I love you. And
Awesome. Love you
Happy
too.
New Year to you again. We'll see you again soon.
New Year. Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Gotta love the surprises that come up. So you can go find JC over at beyondmystic.net, and they're about to go do the Monday. For me, it's Tuesday. For me, it's almost 2 a.m. in Belgium. You guys, I'm up late. But you guys can go check out JC and Janine's Beyond the News on beyondmystic.net. Oh my God, you guys, I've been live for 2 hours and 9 minutes. We had JC pop on. That was so much fun. So hope you guys really enjoyed today's show. And thank you guys so much for joining, whether you're watching the replay or you're in my live crew. I love you guys so much. Before I finish up too, I want to mention that I've got this Pluto and Aquarius live workshop on Sunday, January 12th, 2025 on the Beyond Mystic Academy. This is going to be a deep dive, long form workshop. I love to go deep in my workshops, all about the Pluto and Aquarius transit for the next 20 years that just started for the collective and all 12 signs. So you can be a total beginner to astrology. You can be an astrology, advanced student. This is for all levels of astrology enthusiasts. You can go check that out at the link in the description box below. I'll be live on Sunday, and you can catch the replay if you can't join in live. Also, my astrology readings are available at the link below as well. I have a PayPal tip jar if you'd like to support my work here on my YouTube and Rumble channels. And I love you guys so much. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. We talked about some intense stuff, but there are really positive times ahead, and we got to go through the challenges. We got to go through the revealing, right? It's always darkest before the dawn. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys feel uplifted and bright and hopeful. Happy Gregorian New Year, everybody. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for some more magical content. Mwah. Bye, everybody.